Bree faces up to her demons after a confronting conflab with Remy. Tane forgets about Harper's baby scan, but gets away with it all as per usual, leaving Dana feeling sidelined. Justin and Leah get up to all sorts on their second honeymoon. Fowler family therapy gets underway, but it seems that Tim has his eyes and hands firmly fixed on something else. And Cash accepts a transfer and announces that he's leaving the Bay.
How does it feel living on the wild side?
I'm gonna let you lead me astray more often.
Attention, please. This is a reminder to all guests that we have a no nudity policy in common areas.
I think they're talking to us.
Of course they're talking to us.
Please get out of the pool immediately.
Oh, baby. You're kidding.
Oh. Okay, right.
We are Si and Sophie. This is Coastal News, a home and away podcast, your weekly episode companion podcast for your favourite Aussie soap.
Right, Sophie, I don't know if you know, this is a marathon, not a sprint.
Is it? Oh.
Apparently.
I've
That's
been
what
rushing.
Justin said. No, but I just thought, it can be applied to many a thing. How are you?
Sure it can. I'm good, thank you. We've got the giggles now.
It's going to be one of those, yeah.
Oh dear.
You're well, yeah?
I'm a lot better than it was last week, thank you. Yeah, and I'm feeling a lot better. I'm sorry that we missed first look last week because I was too ill to record it.
You were bedbound, I heard. Yeah.
I know, too ill.
Yeah.
But never mind. I'm back, and I'm better.
Yeah. Thankfully, Bree wasn't doing your bloods.
I know. I'd have been dead doll. Dead in a ditch. I know.
And
How
you
are
followed
you?
appointments with Dr. Logan for your PTSD.
Oh
So,
yeah, exactly. Definitely
we'll
put
be
me in
back
for
to
that.
first look. Now she can talk, guys.
Are you doing all right? How's your week been?
Oh, I'm all right, thanks. Yeah. It's just, hasn't this gone fast?
This whole month is going fast, actually. I think this whole month is
Yeah.
just flying by. It's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I don't mind it. It's the worst month of the year.
It is. Yeah.
But it's just, I think, just busy. I just think
Yeah.
it's just flown by.
It has.
And we're like sort of talking February now. Like
Crazy.
nuts in a week. Yeah.
I'm glad because it's like the closer we get to the clocks changing and all that, I feel better, And then we get to Easter and it's spring and it's like now the weather's going to get a bit nicer. So hurry up.
Yeah, I agree. I couldn't agree more. How's home and away been for you this week?
Comedy. I've laughed a lot this week. I don't know whether I was supposed to laugh at some of the stuff that I found funny, but there was there was some intentional funny stuff this week which I enjoyed. And I needed it because then it got a bit weird at the end of the week with Mr. Stewart and that made me sad. So, and obviously Cash as well. Like there was some sad stuff at the end. So I needed the comedy stuff that happened, I think. How about you?
Yeah, I agree. I think when you sit back and look at the week as a whole, it sort of went through everything this week when you actually step back. And you don't really kind of appreciate that when you're watching it daily, do you?
No.
But obviously sort of prepping for this evening, I was thinking, gosh, yeah, we had some comedy, some angsty stuff as well. Yeah. And then we finished on the sort of heartstrings stuff at the end. It's just nice to have
Mix.
Mr. Stewart back, as you know. Was it last week we were saying we're missing, or I might be saying to somebody else, we've been, especially with Irene gone, Alf gone, Rue gone, regardless of what you think, like it's feeling a little, the oldies feels a little empty. We've got Brew. Maz, not even close. Maz rattling around the house on her own. It just, just that bit just felt a bit off. So the fact that Mr. Stewart is back. I'm hoping some of the other faces will be back soon.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? Because one day we're going to have that. That's going to happen. These characters are going to be gone eventually one day, I'd imagine. So it's weird, isn't it? Because this is what I'm dreading, that they all go and it's going to be all at the same time, and it's going to feel like a real change. And it does leave a big gap when they're not there. It's weird, even if it's just Mr. Stewart outside the surf club just going, "You good day? How you doing, young fella?" You know what I mean? Even that, I miss just like that one piece of dialogue. It's weird, isn't it? You're so used to it.
Yeah, of course you do. It's that comfort thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, and you're right. The comedy stuff was great, and I think I needed it more than I thought I did.
Yeah.
In amongst the Fowlers story.
Yeah.
It really helped me get through some of that stuff. So it's yes, much better. We're back up and on form this week for me.
Yeah.
So yeah, we enjoyed it. Should we talk about it? Should we do it?
Yeah, let's do it.
Should we do it? Because I don't know if you've heard, but Bree's on holiday. If that news hasn't got to you yet. And we join her and the show this week on Monday. She's avoiding Remy. She's doing the holes, walking towards her on the beach, and she darts the other way as fast as she can. Behaving, I would say, really oddly, really erratically. And Remy tries to gain some understanding from Dana about it all, who I'm thinking, as if she's going to know what's going on with her. They're definitely not talking. And also, that's sure to rub Bree up the wrong way, Remy. Have you not been listening to a word she's been saying, man? She's obviously no use. So he goes home and looks up obsessive things and behaviours on My Search Australia, your favourite search engine. And of course, it's a soap. She comes home and sees the computer, and she's all, "Are you diagnosing me? Maybe you should study medicine first. You're no doctor." But he does, in all seriousness, I'm making light of it, but in all seriousness, he does make her sit down and read it. And he's like, "Does this sound like you?" And she does agree, doesn't she, that yes, I'm displaying some of this behaviour, but she doesn't want to address it. She's not ready to face the consequence or face the music, whatever you want to call it, and get help for whatever's going on with her, or give it a name, let's say, because that means that she won't be trusted as a doctor, she'll lose a job, and that whole anxiety element then gets piled on. Something I must say I've overlooked when I've been like, "Get help, woman." Like, I've overlooked that someone might actually be worried about that sort of thing, and that's my bad, I must say. And she says to this, "Remy is non-negotiable. I'll do it my own way." Thoughts on that? Because I thought, oh, this is risky. Is she fobbing him off? I think she,
I think it's inevitable that this is going to happen either way, isn't it? Because she's right. If she gets diagnosed with something serious like OCD or psychosis or something like that, it's going to put a black mark on her name, like that label. You can't shift that then. And if you're a doctor, if everyone in the hospital knows, "Oh, that's Bree that had psychosis," and then if that gets out and the patients find out and they don't trust you, then you don't really want a doctor that's had a psychotic episode to be in charge of making sure that you stay alive, because she's ED. It's not even like, you know what I mean? She's not just like a GP where she's unlikely to be saving someone's life. She's, ED is everyone coming in is critical. Everyone needs urgent attention and needs the doctor on the A game.
Game, haven't you?
Yeah. So it's like, it's big. But then if she doesn't say anything, if she just carries on like normal, she doesn't get any help, then, next time the person could die, and then she's malpractice or whatever, which is really serious, and that's end of career anyway. So I was like, I feel like there's peril with the career, whether she owns up or doesn't with this. I don't know. Could go either way, but it will all end up going bad, I think.
Yeah, whichever way we go. I just don't. I think as well, she's has proven pattern behavior with it.
Yes.
So okay, you might be able to just suppress it for now, but at some point that trauma is going to rear its head again, given your line of work, and it all is associated with your work. It's directly linked. So there's no avoiding it. The only way is to face it head on. I think she's getting Remy off her back. You know, she's been avoiding all week. Last week she was the same. I'm on holiday, let's go abroad. Savvy B at midday, like she's just trying to avoid talking. It's more than trying to avoid talking to it. It's trying to avoid even considering it, thinking about it. Can't possibly cross her mind. Don't think it's not happening. And that's, as we know, recipe for disaster, isn't it?
I think so.
It has made her so much more interesting, though, Sophie, I must say.
It has.
Oh gosh, I thought she was going to kill Remy at one point this week. I mean, her run-ins with Marilyn I think are great, actually. They bounce off each other quite well. It's just made her. I'm not saying this is a story that I'm particularly loving, but for reasons we've mentioned in previous podcasts, we don't know anything about the character. She's been under-invested in all that stuff, underdeveloped. But she's making her more watchable for me. That she's like behaving differently, and it's something fresh for me to look at.
Yeah, I mean, by hook or by crook, she's actually got a storyline of her own now, even if it isn't one that we necessarily would have chosen. But yeah, you're right. It's better than her just going to hospital and just being like, the mild-mannered bedside, Bree, just breathy. Because she's not very interesting, is she? In and of herself. If you just look at her as just Bree, she's not actually that interesting. She's only interesting when she's got links to other people's storylines, like when the whole Jacob thing. That was interesting because he was interesting. It wasn't because she was necessarily. So it's about time that, and we've been saying it all year, so we can't really complain. We can't really say the whole of 2024. We were like, give her a bloody storyline. You know what I mean? So
I know. Yeah, exactly.
They have given her one. I don't know. It's really odd because it's not just the kind of OCD behavior that we're seeing and those patterns and the germs and all of those fixations on stuff. She's actually turned really nasty out of nowhere as well. And the stuff she was saying to Marilyn, like last week when she was like, oh yeah, did the tarot cards tell you that? That's not in character with her. And I don't know whether that is, I don't know much about this kind of things that Remy was Googling, but I don't know whether that kind of nastiness is part and parcel of whatever's going on with her. Or is this just something that she's been suppressing and this is just part of who she is, but we've just not seen it yet? I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, it's a good question. Yeah, Juliet's great at the death stare, though, I must say.
Yeah, she's scary. Yeah,
yeah, she made me go and check the lock. On the ad break, I'm going to go and check the doors.
Door. Check your back door, love, always. Don't leave that swinging in the breeze.
That's sealed shut, love.
You need to learn this from homers. They don't learn it on the show.
No,
they don't lock their bloody doors.
No, the fly screen will keep no sod out, will it? You know what I mean?
I know.
Yeah, I agree. So I'm not necessarily too worried about what's going to happen to her. What'll happen will happen. I'm here for the ride. Is sort of where I'm landing with it. It sounds like you're in a similar place. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see whether Remy gets through to her. I still think they're on a one-way bus to Splitsville again, which might lose me a bit, because I don't really care.
I was thinking about it this week and I was like, who has she got? Because ever since she got back with Remy, she's dropped all her friends like a hot potato. Like they used to be like her, Rose and Kirby kind of all kind of looking out for each other, weren't they? And they're like single ladies and like besties, and they'd have like a popcorn and movie night or whatever. And since she got back with Remy, like she hasn't been seen with Kirby or Rose. Like she seems to be one of these ladies that drops her mates as soon as she's got a boyfriend on the scene, which isn't cool. But also it's like because she's been so vile, nobody's really stepping up in terms of friends either. Because if you think about it, if someone else was doing what she was doing, being so out of character, and we saw her in Salt this week, and she was doing stuff to the table while Remy was at the bar. She was like touching the table and moving stuff around, like OCD kind of fixation stuff again. And both Xander and Dana saw it. They were looking at her and going, and they said to Remy, "Is she all right?" And he was like, "Oh yeah." And I was thinking, if that was anybody else and an ex-paramedic and a current nurse were looking at them, they'd be like, oh, there's something wrong here. We should intervene. You know, if it was one of the other people on the show, I think they would have intervened more and been more concerned. But they couldn't really give a shit about her. And I was like,
No.
actually, do you know what? Perry's got better friends on the show than Bree has. And he's been here 5 minutes.
Nuts. Absolutely nuts, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny you raise that because I think it tells us a lot about Kirby as well. And it's something you and I have touched on before. Bree and Kirby have a really good relationship when we see it.
Yeah.
But Kirby is MIA in absolutely everything. Like, she's always been, you know, when we used to, remember, Cash Time back, we used to talk about Lyric and how Kirby has only been written into Theo's story and she's not got anything outside of it. But we loved like Eden became our favourite Lyric because she got this whole rich stuff outside of the band happening. Do you remember us talking about all that? And it's never so evident as right now because she's got a friend in absolute dire need, and she is aware because she's had conversations with Remy. You know, she's been at the house in passing with her and she's bit her head off, but she cares not one iota. She's, you know, jumping around the surf club with Marley and like, and there's been loads of stuff going down around the house. And Kirby, sometimes it's like, does she even live there?
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
like you don't see her. You just don't see her in the set. Like it's really odd.
It
really
is
odd.
Because when you think about it, Perry's been in it for 5 minutes, and he's had Theo, you know, literally risking his, you know, his future for him by putting him in the garage and you know, possibly going to jail for help, you know, being accessory to murder and all that sort of stuff. And yet Kirby can't even drop in and have a cup of tea with her friend.
I know.
You know, it's like Bree's got no one. Again, it's just really, it's bizarre. And I think if it was anyone else, Xander and Dana would have been like, this isn't right. You know, we've got medical backgrounds. We're not diagnosing her, but she's not acting right. And she needs some help. And can we do anything? I think if it was anybody else, they might have stepped in. But because it's Bree, like nobody feels like close enough to her. I don't think. She hasn't got that bond.
No, she's not. She's not in the inner bay, if you
No,
like.
she's not approachable, is she, really?
No, it's and it's because of all the reasons we've said. Let's face it. You know, she's not had anything to do with anybody, and that is the crux of it, really. And then Remy's having to deal with it all on his child as a result.
And I actually feel really bad for him because I think he's actually been quite good at this, because he's not blindly took her side and gone, oh, my girlfriend says this, so it must be true. You know, he's been really reasonable, and he's gone, actually, I don't think you're being very fair, and I think Levi, you know, what you're doing to him is really awful. And it's quite hard to take someone else's side over your other half sometimes. So I'm quite glad that he's done that.
Yeah, same.
So,
and he's had those tough conversations, and it sounds like he's getting through to her. So thank God she's got somebody, because, you know, where would we be?
I know.
Would we be?
Oh, dear.
Oh, dear. Harper's having a scan again this week, and this time we're going to find out the sex of the baby. And Dana's very excited, like, although I didn't understand the line, I want to find out if I'll be an auntie or an uncle, but each to their own.
That's one of them. I've seen that before in a comedy show.
Oh, have you?
Someone said that. I think it was a fella. I can't remember what show it was, but I think it was a fella, and he found out that he was going to have a niece, and he was like, "Oh, I'm going to be an auntie." And they were like, "No, that's not how it works, because you're still an uncle, even though it's a girl." You know. I'm sure I've heard that on a different show. It might have been Friends or something.
Oh, straight over my head. I was thinking, is she okay? Or, I mean, let's face it, she's doing better than Tane, whether she's uncle or auntie, because he doesn't even remember. He's, again, this battle that Tane has of Perry versus baby, and this constant tussle of his attention. He never ever gets it right, and he never will he?
No.
So Harper and Dana have a conversation about Dana going to the hospital for the scan, and she explains that Tane's had a lot going on, and I don't think it's going to happen. But she does go up to Tane's to find out, basically. Perry's doing much better when she gets there, and it's all going on that, you remember he's decided what he's going to do with his dad. Well, he said he did, and then we spend an episode discussing it, so he didn't clearly. uh, uh, which just struck me as a bit strange. And she starts then, rather than going up there for what she went up there for, yet again, she surrenders and starts helping decide and make arrangements for Dad Bod to be cremated. So, just Harper constantly sort of surrendering all the time because Tane's messing up.
Yeah.
She calls Dana what she thinks is on the DL. I mean, it's the tiniest lounge ever. And basically says it's just going to be us at the Scanlade style. Tane, he can't make it. He's got a lot on, and he overhears it, and he's like, "What? There was a skin today?"
I think she wanted him to hear that, though.
Yes. Yeah, I do. I think I was about to say. So, what do you reckon?
I think that was like, oh no, I can't come to the scan because he can't come to the scan because he's busy, so it's just going to be you and me, and I was like, it's very convenient that you could have gone outside. She could have gone out by the death pool outside, and had that conversation out of earshot. But she literally just went behind a partition wall and went, no, he can't come. I was like, she wanted him to hear that. I swear to God.
I think so as well, because if it was like, she could have just sent a message under the table.
Exactly.
I agree. I think she wanted him to know, but didn't want to be, listen, we've got this scan and you said you'd be there. She wanted him to feel bad about it. So Tane's like, I said I'd be there, I want to be there, I'm coming, yada yada yada. Now this is the next bit, because Harper then bins Dana off and is like, you no longer can come. Dana feels heartbroken. She's the only supportive person you've got, love. You know what I mean? Like with this baby, the only person you can probably rely on pre and post birth. Let's face it, Tane's track record precedes him. And you've told her she's not being involved. The scan gets done. There's this whole we won't be open the envelope, and they find out what they're having and decide not to tell Dana, which is obviously heartbreaking for her because she was so excited. Why is Harper? I'm just putting myself in Harper's shoes. My sibling, who have literally, we're so close, we're so tight. It's us against the world. Parent, given their backstory. And it's only been them two for years. Of course you're that close. Why are you not seeing that this is hurtful for her? And explain that to Tane. There's no way Tane wouldn't tell his brothers.
No, exactly.
No way.
If he had any left.
Yeah. Well, he does. I did like the line. I know a good. I know a good cremator or something. Funeral director.
I bet you do. Oh God, you probably paid for his kids to go to college. I don't know. I just think, again, the same with the whole, saying he can't come to the scan, and I think it was to make him overhear it. This is now a little secret that's just between the two of them, which I think she's hoping is going to make them grow closer together, because it's always just us two that know the baby's sex, and nobody else does. And aren't we like, so excited about it and planning it, and it's our little secret. I just feel like, again, it's nothing to do with her not wanting Dana to know about it. It's about her wanting to have a little secret with Tane and grow closer to him. And it's just making me cringe, I'll be honest.
Like she's so hell bent on getting the man that she doesn't care what she's doing to her sister type thing.
I think she's just like, this will make us closer, because we'll have this little secret, and it's only us two that know, and not even Dana will know, and it will just be us in our little bubble. And she's bless her. It's a horrible situation if you're in this situation, but all she wants is for him to say that he loves her.
I know. I know. And do you know what I think it's going to? Do you know how I see this going down? There's going to be mixed signals one day. There's going to be a brush of a hand.
Yes.
In a wide hallway. And and something's going to be an encounter, right?
Yeah.
And she's going to end up absolutely heartbroken by it.
Or they're gonna,
and she deserves it.
or they're gonna end up sleeping together, and then he's gonna think it's a one night stand, and she's gonna think they're a couple.
Yeah, and she'll be hurt by it.
Yeah.
And she'll only have herself to blame because she's been going around before Christmas saying, headstrong, I'm going to do this. I can do, this is it. This is the boundary. This is what it's going to be like. Take it or leave it. What's happened? What has happened now? You've literally cash sussed it within seconds last week.
Yeah.
So it's already going to be around town. It's already getting out.
People will be assuming things anyway, won't they? Because it's a small town. People are gossiping anyway.
Yeah,
you'd
of course.
imagine. So
well, there's been comments like that at the diner, hasn't there?
Yeah, exactly. And the Marilyn and the whole picnic fiasco. So
yeah, it's already happening. Well, they're having a boy.
Yes.
A boy.
Yeah.
Now, them, the golden rule of home and away: can't have a baby unless you can't VJ. So I don't know what's going to go on here. Who's leaving? Who's dying? Something's happening. We're heading for a disaster. Or I don't know how long we had Tane's been knocking about a bit. Your mind starts racing, doesn't it? Based on what you know from the past.
Yeah.
So and to
be
honest with you,
Diggy left immediately, didn't they? Baby was born, and then they were packing the car and gone. So I was like, how long is this one going to last for? Yeah.
And Harper's not really worked, in my opinion. And it is an opinion. This is the thing about soaps, isn't it? It's all subjective.
Yeah.
Could we be unwinding something there? Because Dana, for me, has been, of the two sisters, has been way more successful.
She's had more input, hasn't she? She's had a lot more storylines and a lot more character development, whereas Harper really hasn't. She's just been like, oh, she comes in, she pisses off Flick because Flick thinks that she's going to go after her husband, then she actually does go after her husband, then she gets up the duff by the husband, and then that's it.
And
she's not really had anything
else. That is her personality then, isn't it?
Yeah
It's
and whereas Dana's had like the whole, the killer cop thing, and she's got like this really scatty personality that's quite entertaining. She's got Xander, she's got John, all the people that she bounces off, and Harper's just like not quite had that same development, and she doesn't really have those close bonds with anybody apart from Dana.
In a word, forgettable.
Bless her. I know it's not nice really, but it does feel like she's just been less, I don't know.
The baby was the worst thing. She needs, as a character now, she needs to be away from Tane. She needs to get away from that mess.
Yes, hot mess. Yeah.
And, and she needs, I strongly, but you can redeem, I mean, literally, how many characters have we 360'd on?
Yeah.
Theo is an example springing to mind right away.
Levi's turning.
Levi's.
I'm actually feeling sorry for Levi.
Wait, let me get a pen. Jesus.
Oh no. I know. I feel icky saying. I said this last week on Twitter. I was like, I feel icky saying this, but I'm actually feeling really bad for him at the moment. And I don't know whether it's because he saved Mr. Stewart, so I'm letting him off anything, or whether I'm genuinely just warming to him.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, Eden as well is another example, and that's linked to Levi, and I think that's helping a bit.
Yeah, that's true.
I was going to say Marley because
what?
No, but listen, I just found him really cute this week.
What? Explain yourself immediately, because what?
I don't know. He's had loads of screen time. He's not annoyed me. Looked a bit cute, and then I was like, do you know what? Is he getting better?
No.
Not the character. I mean the actor.
Okay. Well,
You know,
as,
like
as a character, I still can't stand the guy, and he's done my head
Mm.
in all week. So I'm like, I'm genuinely shocked by this.
No, yeah,
Wow.
no, I
Okay.
don't. I think there's something in the water. I don't know what's going on
I
with
think
it at
you're
the minute.
ovulating, love. I think you're ovulating. It's like when I start to fancy Phil Mitchell on EastEnders, and I'm like, oh, I must be ovulating.
Well, we've known each other a while and we've not yet synced, clearly.
Clearly not. We don't spend enough time together, obviously.
Clearly.
Oh,
Oh. So back to Tane and Harper.
sorry, I'm
It's all
shocked.
right.
I'm shocked.
I don't know what it was. I just caught myself enjoying it.
Well, I'm making a note of it because if this comes up again, I'm going to start calling doctors. I'm going to I'm going to actually phone Tim and get you booked in. Because I think you need counselling.
Well, we'll come on to Tim, but yeah, book me in with Tim if you don't mind.
Will do, and me, doll. Family one. Family session, please.
Stop making it all about you, so.
I can't help it. Main cabbage energy.
Oh God, crying here, crying. So eventually they talk, and Dana explains, you know, this is to Xander now. I've missed a bit. Xander's obviously there for her, picking up the pieces because she's so upset, Dana, about this, right, and being frozen out. And they get to talking, don't they? And Dana does explain that she doesn't see herself having kids, period. Like that's not in the stars. And you know, it's about her upbringing. She doesn't want to bring children into the world. A conversation I've heard everywhere in my everyday life, not just on telly. And it's quite a common thing for people to feel these days, especially the way the world is. Blimey. And Xander says, well, actually, I do. I'm not ready right now, but like, you know, I do see that at some point in my future. And this spooks things a bit, doesn't it? And you're thinking, oh God, here we go. Because we've not seen much of these lately either. And I thought we only come back to them as a couple when there's an issue.
Yes.
But yeah, eventually when they do catch up with each other, it's a bit like look, let's just forget we mentioned it. You know, I see myself having him, but have a door key. Moving on. Have a key to my house. And let's just kick that conversation into the future where nothing will change, and we'll just waste each other's time. It feels.
Yeah, this is where I get annoyed with the characters on soaps, because they've been together for a while and they haven't had this conversation before, and that kind of annoys me. And I don't know whether it's because I decided as a young person years ago that I wasn't interested in having kids. And I'd made that decision a long time ago. And then whenever I sort of went on a date with someone, it was like first date, second date conversation, because I was like, I don't want to waste your time. If you do want to get married and have kids, there's no future for us. So, you know, this is only ever going to be, you know, a short-term thing. And I didn't want to waste somebody's life for 5 years and then them say, oh, let's have a kid. And I'm like, what? We've never talked about this, but I don't actually want them. I find it really weird that nobody has these conversations. And when they do, and then one of them wants different from the other, they just go, oh, we'll sort it out later. And I'm like, no, you're just going to waste more time, like you say.
Yeah
It drives me up the wall. I don't know whether it's because I've got a different perspective and maybe this is normal. You know, if people want kids, they just assume that everyone wants kids. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, most soap storylines are born out of miscommunication or lack thereof.
Yes.
So I suppose that's why you were so, you know, you see it a lot on soaps, don't you? So you know, I understand that. I get the formula. What is bugging me here is these are one of the best couples, and I don't think they need a child necessarily. Like if these were, it would be really refreshing if these two were both like, yeah, we're not into kids. This is us. he's going to graduate business school, and we're going to be, the next Trumps.
Oh God.
Or maybe not Trumps, but do you know what I mean? Like the next business moguls of the Northern
Yeah.
District,
Yeah.
and we,
Yeah.
and that would be quite a refreshing angle for these as a couple. So that's for me a bit of a missed opportunity. But then I'm a bit like, have we not just done this with Tenacity?
Yeah.
Like,
It's
is there
been
anything else
too
you can think of?
soon. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
too soon. Yeah.
And I'm a bit like, really? It's always about, and like yourself, as someone who is childless, and Bear and Sharon, like I don't always want it to be kids is the reason a relationship
No.
can't work, because now I'm like, well, obviously they're splitting. This is sowing the seeds, and that's
Yeah.
where we're going.
It just feels like the writing's on the wall now, doesn't it? It feels like, oh, here we
Yeah.
go. Because like you say, with Flick and Tane, they had exactly the same. It was the marriage conversation first, and I don't want to get married. Oh, well, I do want to get married. And then it was I want kids. Well, I don't want kids. It's like, oh, for God's sake, why have you not had this conversation? And it was months of our lives, her going, oh yeah, I'll have them, and then taking the the contraceptive pill behind his back. Are we going to go down that route again? I hope not.
I mean, yeah, that was a bit shocking that she did that. So if that was twice, I mean, I can't see that. I don't know. No, you never know, do you? But
and why is it always the guy? Why is it always the guy on EastEnders, on Home and Away that wants the baby? Tane was baby. Now Xander's baby. Like, even flipping it round, if Xander was the one running away, that would have been at least something different.
Yeah, and yeah, I agree. I just think we could have needed something different for these two. They're a different type of couple, aren't they? Do you know what I mean? They're not your average do what everybody else does type of couple.
They're very neurospicy as a couple, aren't they?
Yes, that's the word. So I think something a little individual could have been a bit refreshing, but that's just me and you by the sounds of it. But yeah, so now I'm a bit gutted, I'm a bit deflated, because now I'm just waiting for it to happen. And he's been really unfair by shutting her up and giving her the key.
Yeah.
That's like let's not talk about it now. Have the key. And he's kidding himself.
He's doing the baby steps thing that Tane was doing, wasn't he? Because Tane wasn't in denial about it. He was like, oh yeah, well, you might change your mind, and it's fine. We'll just get. I tell you what, we'll get married, and we'll talk about the kids after we get married, even though you've already said you don't want one. I feel like this is the same thing. Like, it's the same thing. It's like, oh, we'll part the kids thing, and we'll just move in together. Or like, oh, you'll have a key to my house or whatever. And it's like, no, you can't take baby steps.
Yeah, she'll change your mind.
Yeah, it feels like that. Which it's really icky to me. That is. Icky. You know my feelings on this. I won't bang on anymore.
Icky, yucky. Yeah, definitely. I agree.
Yeah.
Give us something else, writers. Please.
I know. I'm not interested in babies at all. Just no more babies on the show, please.
Yes.
God.
Yes, onesie.
Yeah.
Haven't you heard? Cash works here now.
I had heard. I did laugh at this. This was when at the beginning of the show, and I was like, there were some comedy moments this week. Wasn't sure if I was supposed to laugh at all of them, but I did. One of the things I did absolutely guffaw out loud was Mangrove River PD has been closed because the crime rate has gone through the roof. And they've just decided that they can't be arsing it, Dal.
Yeah. Let Reefton Lakes deal with it, Dal.
All that crime. It's too much. Like, I'm just imagining like Mangrove River to be completely lawless, Mad Max universe type stuff going on. It's hilarious. I was crying laughing at that.
You do know an architect's come in, don't you, to look at that roof and gone. He's done a cost benefit analysis and he's gone.
Nah.
Close it down.
just knock the building down. That'll stop the attacks. What? There's too much crime, therefore we're going to
That's-
close the police station. What?
If,
I'm
now,
sorry.
if that's not Aussie logic, I don't know what is.
I was
We
literally
can't attack the station if it's not there.
Was it supposed to be funny? Because I literally was crying. It's the funniest thing that happened this
No,
week, and I was
it
crying.
was funny. It was funny. I actually really enjoyed them basically tell Rose how awful she is at a job. Why has Perry's charges not been dropped to manslaughter?
Yeah.
Why was this done? Why was that done? And she's all like, leave me
Yeah.
alone. And like
Yeah.
we all know that she's
You're not my boss.
absolutely all same rank. I just wanted to poke her in the eyes. We all know. Right, she's awful, and then but actually to have Cash, solidify and verify our feelings just felt really good.
He was like, well, what? I would have done it this way. She was like, yeah, well, you weren't here, and it's nothing to do with you. And he's like, yeah, but it happened in my pool. In my pool,
Yeah.
doll.
Yeah. In
Oh,
your
God.
backyard.
Literally in my backyard. Oh,
yeah.
God.
Which was the only good point that Rose had about that was you shouldn't be, getting him. And I thought, yeah, you probably shouldn't really.
I did agree with her on that because I was just like, is he even allowed to investigate something that happened in his backyard, literally? Because surely that is a conflict of interest. But he's not wrong. Like, yeah, she has done a bad job of this.
Yeah.
The dad was violent. The dad was, hanging around the surf club and being all weird and stalkery. And they weren't keeping tabs on him, and they weren't asking Perry, have you seen your dad? Has he been near you? Is he keeping away from you?
Yeah.
She did drop the ball. I'm sorry, she did. But she's not the only one. Harper did, Tane did. So it's just a whole mishmash of incompetence, really. But it was hilarious to see him sort of say, yeah, you're crap at your job, aren't you, Rose?
Yeah, it was good. I did like it. Yeah. It doesn't matter though, Sophie. It doesn't matter because he's not going to be under her feet for long because he's accepted a transfer. He's needed, not just inland, way inland, right? He's needed, right?
Oh, God. Can't say what I'm thinking. I'll save that for later.
And he's accepted it. He's off. And he bumps into Eden at the beach. Been there, seen that, done that, walked there, stood there, touched that, did that, pointed there.
Got a
all
picture
the
of
rest
that
of
sign.
stuff that's going through your mind every time you see a scene there. And he says to her, look, I'm going. I've accepted a job. I'm moving on, and this is me. And Eden's gutted, isn't she? Every time she converses with him, she's gutted about it. She just sort of dusts herself off, and she sort of like, paints a smile on, and off she goes, doesn't she, and wishes him well. This is a very big trope of soaps, and I do love it. Actually, I do fall for it every time. I let myself fall for it knowingly, so it's all good. But it's the whole he's going to realise when it's too late and all that business. It's Cash is packing. He's going the next day. He's saying goodbye to the bay. He's saying tries getting a big breakfast with extras off Leah. He's saying tra, isn't he? And he's doing the rounds. He's putting socks in a suitcase. Off he goes, and he happens find himself staring at the ocean just before he leaves. Presumably mulling it all over, and Levi says to him, "What you doing?" Goes up to him, doesn't he? And good on Levi for this, because I don't think we've seen much of Levi with a backbone, And he says to her, "You're absolutely wrecking my sister, and I want to tell her to leave you the hell alone, but I know neither of you want it." And I think it coming from somebody like Levi, who he doesn't normally do much with. Don't Cash and Levi don't cross paths really.
No.
I think it coming from him made Cash think, what am I doing? What am I doing? and he tries to get hold of her, doesn't he? And that's where we're at, really.
This was
That's
killing
where
me,
we're at.
actually. That was killing me.
Mm.
The whole watching him suddenly, take the engagement ring out of the drawer after he's been
Oh, yeah.
psychoanalyzed by Levi. Is it really what you want?
Yeah.
Is it really what you want, Dar? I mean, Levi's turning into a counsellor this week himself, never mind him. But he was, he's talked him round and he's sat there, isn't he, with the ring, and then he's ringing her, and then she's got her bloody lips on someone else. I was like, no.
But when she's talking to him, because he goes to visit her, doesn't he, at the Salt, again, and they talk, and he explains that he's going sooner rather than later. For me, I think that's, I don't know about you, I'm completely reading between the lines here, but it was almost like, okay, she gave herself permission to let go of him. When when he came to visit her, she was like, there's nothing, I need to let go of this now. Like,
yeah, I mean, I don't blame her. I think I
Mm.
would have took the same thing. That to me was him saying, no, I'm really, really going, and her going, oh, okay, right, it really is over. She's got no idea that he left and then went and had a meltdown outside after Levi, you know what I mean? And then went back and found the ring. She's just like, oh, he's gone home to pack his bags, and in the morning he'll be gone. I can totally see why she jumped to the conclusion of, okay, I need to move on with my life. But it's just like, why? Why?
Yeah, I know.
Why now?
I just love that she didn't say it to anybody, though.
Yes.
I think that was a really clever writing choice, and I will applaud the writer for that, because it was something that it was there in the body language. Perfect performance as well from Steph. I knew what she was thinking. It didn't need to be said. It didn't need to be on the script.
No.
It just fit. And I got the message loud and clear, and I'm glad it's worked, because you did as well. Do you know what I mean? Just like one of those examples of a scene being such a good scene with like no dialogue required.
Yeah, I think, and the dialogue that was there, it was, when they said, oh, she said something like, oh, I'll miss you, and he said, I'll miss you too, and I thought it could have so easily been, I still love you, and then there's no blurred lines. Then it's really obvious how she feels, whereas her going, I'll miss you, is more, you say that to a friend, wouldn't you? So again, it was like the language used made you think, okay, she's stepping back here, and she's not going to say, I'm going to wait for you, I'm going to be here if you need me, come back if you change your mind. She's not doing any of that. She's just going, okay, I accept this, I know you're leaving, you're going tomorrow, and all I'm going to say is I'll miss you, and that's all I need to say. So I think, you're right, it was really well played. It's just heart-wrenching at the same time. It's like,
it is, because that very moment we're talking about, it meant that what was going to happen next, when Tim shows her some affection, that the therapist, the counselor, should I say, she allows herself to accept that attention, because that's happened. Do you know what I mean? I think if that hadn't happened, if Cash hadn't have said, I'm not going away or whatever, and she was still in this sort of world of pain, and she's holding out that Cash is gonna, he's grieving. She says it herself, he's grieving. What's he doing moving? If he hadn't have said he's moving, she wouldn't have allowed herself to accept that attention off Tim, I don't think.
No,
I think that was pivotal.
Yeah, and also they didn't even hug goodbye, and it was really awkward, because it was like, I'll miss you, I miss you too. No hug, just staring at each other, and he just walked off. And then obviously she breaks down, and the person that comforts her and hugs her is Levi, and that made me want to cry, because it was like she couldn't hug him or anything. It was just like a very I'll miss you, I miss you too, okay, bye then, that's it. Well, it's like they knew that if they touched each other, like she knew that if she touched him, like she would break down, because she's thinking he doesn't want me, and if I hug him,
keeping it together.
So she's like, I can't hug him, I can't say how I feel, because he's going to go anyway, and I'm going to look like an idiot, my heart's going to be broken. And he's probably thinking the same thing. We don't know that. Like, they don't know what each other's thinking, but he's probably thinking, if I hug her, I'm not going to want to let go of her, so I've got to just walk out of here. It was horrible. It was horrible.
It was compelling to watch, though, I must say.
God, yeah. And And he looks so
but
good in that t-shirt. I'm sorry. I had to rewind one of the scenes. I can't remember which one it was, but I was too busy going, oh damn, he looks good in a white t-shirt. And then I was like, shit, I've got no idea what he just said. I was like, it's too distracting. Oh dear.
Yeah, so he's changed his mind. What it looks like he has, and he's trying to ring her. She's accepted a walk home by Tim, and there's chemistry there, and then their passion as the phone is ringing.
And we know they're like 3 steps away from each other right now because he's across the road from her, and he
He's
could walk
literally
in.
over the road. I know. I
feel
know.
sick at this
I
point.
know.
'cause
We've got to wait till Monday.
I just know he's going to walk in and find them, and then he's just going to be like, "Oh right, you've moved on. Fine."
Yeah.
It's so horrible.
Yep. Too little, too late.
No. Oh.
We must talk. We're talking a bit about. We met Tim last week. He's the counsellor for Abs. And you know, it's all still love and peace between Abs and Eden. And this week we do see, because Abby's got to try and go to her second counselling session, doesn't want to go. Eden's trying to spend time with her after reading that journal. You'll remember she found out what she, broke her trust and read a journal, and now she knows that she's getting the blame. And Levi warned her off last week, didn't he? He said, it's all about you, and she blames you, and just stay out of the way and let the counsellor do his job. But Eden's not. She's struggled to do that, hasn't she? So she's broke her trust. She's been trying to get through to her, trying to be, doesn't really understand what Abby's point of view. You and me both, Eden, darling. And basically, there's arguments about it. She's like, I love you. I didn't do anything to you on purpose, or I didn't want to hurt you. I'm sorry. It's just all made it worse, hasn't it, at this point? So she won't go to the counselling, Abs, any excuse. So as that's very true to life. The counselling comes to her, right?
Yeah.
So he turns up at the farmhouse, right? Okay, Jenny in it already. But Abs is missing because she can't stand to be in the same room as Eden, and that's all going on. So he ends up spending a bit of time again with Eden at the farmhouse, doesn't he? And he's already doing the whole counselling thing on her, like talking to her and asking her questions. And Levi, there's phone calls back and forth between Levi and Eden. He's going to try and get her back to the farmhouse. It doesn't happen. Eden ends up taking Tim down to Salt, and Abs kicks off, storms out, and Tim eventually has this counselling session as a walk and talk on the beach. So I was quite happy in the end, because you know what I love?
A walk and talk.
Yeah. This week, I must say, it made me tie my Eden flag back up and fly it again, because I feel like this poor girl is carrying the weight of the world, and she's getting the blame for ditching, when it sounds like she was there a lot more than Levi was as youngsters. Yeah. She was a young kid herself, and you want to do things for yourself when you're young, and she had this, this passion that she was pursuing and wanted to get away. You can't blame her for wanting to get away from a home life like that.
No.
Also, like, it was at a mortuary or whatever it was they ran. Like,
yeah,
minor detail, let's overlook. Yeah. And Abby is basically hindering her entire life's drama on her sister moving out to go and live with friends. And I'm just like, why is Eden being dragged over hot coals for it? I really feel for Eden at the moment. She's got it from all angles. And I thought this was out of order.
And on the backdrop of that, she's got a dead friend and a no husband that she's planning to marry. So it's like, kick a girl, you know what I mean?
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And then eventually this Tim guy gets them all round a table to do family therapy, and on that beautiful hand-carved pergola. And I
think about him every time I see that. What was his name? What was the guy's name that made
Ziggy's dad? Ziggy's dad. Come on, Maggie.
What was his name?
And A Stony. Come on.
Stoney. Someone a
Come on.
Stoney. I can't think of his bloody name.
Oh,
I can see him in my head though. I quite
yeah,
liked
bit of a
him.
dilf.
Mm.
So, yeah, basically, they just rip into it. And do you know that moment where she gets up and goes, do you know what? I'm going to go to work. And she goes, you all feel free to carry on putting me down while I'm not here. I thought, yes, go on, girl. Go on. Do you feel the same way about Eden and getting the blame for this? And
I
do you know,
do.
like, do you feel it's too unfair, or do you have a different opinion?
I do. I feel it's weird. I've felt a lot of things this week. I've been psychoanalyzing myself, the characters this week, same as what Tim and everyone else is doing. I do feel for it, and I do think that she's getting the kick in when actually Levi, you know, when Abby looks at Levi, her eyes are like doughy eyes. You know what I mean? Like she looks at him and she's like, "Oh, my big brother, he looks after me and he does all this stuff for me and he's so nice and blah blah blah." And I'm like, "Yeah, but he literally left you. Like he ran off with Dad." And Eden, maybe she wasn't there as much as she wanted her to be, but at least she was there.
Yeah.
And you know, if you're going to kick anybody, kick Levi for for the reasoning that she's giving. It's like actually Levi fits the bill for this more than Eden does. So I didn't really get that. I did think she was being unfair, but actually my mind is kind of changing on Abby this week, simply because of the fact that she's come out and bravely said, I've got an addiction problem and I need to stop this and I need to find out what the root cause is. I need to make sure that I deal with these issues. And it's taken her a while to get here because she's very stubborn and very pig-headed, which is like exactly like both of her siblings. So I'm kind of like, okay, we're finally here. She's actually accepting help now. So I'm like trying to sort of warm to her a little bit for the sake of that, because she's not just running away and what have you. But then actually this week I've been listening to what she's been saying, and she's basically saying I feel invisible and I feel like I've been in Eden's shadow for my whole life, and I feel like I've been held back. I've been stuck with Mom because I was younger and I couldn't go out and do stuff and I wasn't free and I couldn't drive. I didn't have friends like Eden did, and she was always off and doing stuff. She's the main character of the family and I'm just a little sister that nobody really gives a shit about. And I was listening to all of that and I was thinking, okay, I can kind of understand it in a way. But what's made me feel bad for her this week is that she's saying all of this. She's telling everybody how she feels and that she feels invisible. She feels like Eden's taken over her life, and been the like I say, the main character of the family. And then this week, her own counsellor has been more interested in putting himself in Eden's orbit than actually helping Abby, I think. I'm finding it really weird that he's like, oh, let's have a family session and then Eden can come along and I can spend time with Eden. Oh, let's go for a walk and talk on the beach that's opposite where Eden works, and then we could possibly drop into Salt and I can go and see her again. Oh, and let's go and do this. And I'm like, he actually, Abby's own counsellor, who's trying to help her get over her problem of feeling invisible and not seen, not heard, whatever. He's not interested in her. He's interested in her sister.
I know.
And it's just perpetuating the same problem. And I'm like, oh, this feels really wrong. And maybe this girl has a point, actually, that, it's all about Eden. I don't know.
Yeah. So you're highlighting that perhaps maybe this is like deep-rooted jealousy.
Yes, I think so. I think that's what it is.
Way back when, right?
I think it is. Yeah.
Yeah, and I do agree with you in terms of Tim's behaviour, and he deserves a lambasting for that. If you ask me, I'd actually want to see his name badge and his credentials, actually, if you don't mind, because this is home and away, and he's not behaving like he should. He's broken so many rules already. But at this stage where we're at, Abby doesn't clock that that's happening, does she? So it'll be interesting to see where this goes. You're right. He is all her complaints. He is personifying it all. It's right there laid out to see, isn't he?
Yeah. That's how I'm feeling. I'm hearing her saying it, and then I'm going, but he's doing it to her as well. Like the person that's supposed to be helping her get past this problem is actually contributing to the problem.
Yeah. And I'd argue Eden, because it takes two to tango. So it's gonna be explosive, this, actually.
Yeah.
Because Eden is there, presumably now having a dirty weekend with him. We'll find out Monday, in real time, and knowing that he's here to help her sister, and she's not putting her sister first. She's
No.
doing
Yeah.
it for herself, so she can forget
Yeah.
what a bad day she's had, which is
Yes.
selfish.
It is, which is what she said in her diary. And it's like, oh, it's like a sort of self-profiting, like
Yeah.
when I don't mean like profit as in money. I mean like
Yeah.
she's like predicting this by
Yeah.
writing it all down in her diary and saying she's this and she's that, and then she goes and does it with the council, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh no, this is. I mean, obviously, yeah, you're right. She doesn't know any of this, but I'm at home sitting there going, but he's just doing what she's said that happened. She's literally saying, all my life I feel invisible and I feel like it's all about Eden, and then he's like, oh, is Eden okay? I'll go and find her at the restaurant. I'm like, she's not your patient.
Yeah.
Like,
Piece of work.
why? It's so weird. And the minute he found out, because Levi said, oh yeah, Eden's going through some stuff at the moment, you know, her best friend just died, and that was like something lit up in Tim, and he ran around to Salt, didn't he? And he was like, oh, she's vulnerable as well, so she's not just like getting it from her sister, she's actually vulnerable, she's grieving. He doesn't know about Cash at this point, I don't think, but she's grieving her best friend that's died. And then he's like preying on her, and I'm like, for a counsellor that's supposed to be there to help vulnerable people get past these things, he's using it to get her into bed. It just doesn't feel right. It's just so weird.
I sort of, do you remember me saying last week, I sort of feel like something's going to happen there. I don't know. I've not seen, I've not, I and you just thought I had a gut feeling last week, and here we are. There's, and he's, the second that someone's trying to rearrange an appointment, he's driving all the way up to their house. Give me a break. He's not there for the counselling.
No,
give me a break.
Not at all. He's not.
No.
He's put himself in her orbit all week. You know, he's driven up there to see Abby, in inverted commas. He's took Abby for a walk on Palm Beach, right next to Salt, hoping that he's going to run into the sister again. He then goes back into Salt to see if she's okay, and has that weird beer with and he's like all complimenting her and stuff. Oh, and the whole, she's a strong woman, and then her friend died, I better go around and check she's all right. No, I'm sorry, the whole thing is giving me the ick. It's icky. Like, he's a creep. He's cute, but he's a creep, and he's not being professional.
Yeah Everyone's going to need a real counsellor when this is done with.
Definitely,
because he's a wrong 'un. I've got a feeling.
What if, I mean, we were talking about this off air, we were saying, like you just said, you want to see his lanyard. Like, I want to see his ID. I want to see his face matches his ID. I want to see his credentials. Is he really a counsellor? What if he's not really a counsellor? What if we have got some kind of weirdo stalker?
A groupie for the band.
Or maybe he's taken someone's identity, and there is a Tim Russell out there, but this is not the Tim Russell. This is some creep that just wants to get close to vulnerable people so he can bed them. I don't know. It's just really
exciting, though, isn't it?
It is. I think it's what we need. Like, I'm here for it. I think it does need something like this year. We haven't had a stalker for a while, a good one. So, I'm not saying it's a bad thing if it did turn into that.
And because he didn't seem to know about Lyric, and she said, "Oh, it's ancient history." He could be a band fan through Lyric.
Yeah. That would be very, very weird, though, wouldn't it? Like, how on earth did he get near the sister?
Yeah.
It's so strange. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it is that.
He might have been, someone that Eden also wrecked as a child at school, and she doesn't even remember him. And he's back for revenge years later.
Oh my God! Imagine that. Imagine if he was like the really fat kid at school that lost all the weight and now was like used to bully me and call me Fat Tim or whatever.
Yes. It's when Brad Pitt went in Friends, similar stitch. I think
he's
so.
Like, I hate you.
Yes. Could be one of those. Let's see. Keep your eyes and ears peeled, Sophie. Look for clues.
Is Eden going to have a teeny weenie? Oh God, Ian, I don't know. I mean, I'm probably totally over egging it,
Anyway,
but I feel
it's
like
what you do with it.
it's going somewhere. It's got to be. It's
Yeah.
got to be going somewhere.
I know he was over egging things. Justin and Leah down at the second honeymoon. We've got to talk about this, right?
Yes, please.
Because when this first started and they're hopping off bareback
Off the horses. I texted
Oh,
you, didn't I? I said, I've got 2 words for you. Equine therapy. What was that?
I don't know, but they've been hot air ballooning,
Yeah.
couple of
Yeah.
massages, skinny dipping, nudity on Home and Away. Blimey.
Oh dear. 2025, sorry.
Does it? I know what has happened to the world, and it's these of all people. So yeah, when this first started playing out, I was thinking, I don't know what I think about this. You know, you're just thinking, am I awake? Like,
It's a fever dream.
yeah. And then I was like, and why are we watching this? Like, for what reason are these scenes? Like, is something going to blow up? Like, you know.
That would be very Leah and Justin, to be honest.
It would, wouldn't it? And well, the more it went on, the more I thought I preferred honeymoon 1 on the yogurt factory. It seemed more relaxed. It seemed more relaxing. Oh my god! So they booked this couple's massage. The masseuse cancels on them. Some resort this is. I mean, the breakfast isn't even included. Do you know what I mean?
No.
I mean, yeah, it's not all that, is it? So
No.
they turn around and see an empty pool, not got their swimmers with them, so they think, do you know what we'll do? We'll jump in nude, have a bit of fun. Well, I was thinking, am I watching someone turn the channel over on the break?
know.
What is going on?
It did kick up a notch, didn't it? I was like, what?
And then,
Oh.
I'm sorry, character of the week for me is Jarvis. Harvis was my favourite.
Yeah, I thought it was Jarvis.
Was it Jarvis? I thought it was like Spanish, like you
Oh,
know,
was
J's a
it?
H. I thought it might be Jarvis.
He did pronounce it differently to Jarvis, but I was like, what did he say? Jarvis.
Either way, I want him to stay. Want him to stay.
He's wrong, and you know he's got a copy of that video. You know he's recorded it.
Of course he has. Code
He was
7.
up all night watching it. you know, the next morning when he came in and he was like, "Oh, I've got complimentary breakfast for you in the garden." I was like, "He's been up all night watching that video. He's got like red eyes and a sore hand." I'm sorry.
Don't know, but Sophie, he was campus tits.
I couldn't say it was about Leah. Oh, gee. That was so funny. I was crying.
We really needed this, but like dropped in between like Fowler family therapy scenes.
Yes. Yeah.
It really was good. And then I realised that's why we're seeing it, because it's hilarious. So the and comedy isn't something we get a lot of. So I mean, this really, it was such a good week for this to happen. And I think Leah and Justin pulled it off really well. The Stop
I'm not
it,
saying, I'm not saying anything. I'm saying nothing.
There is a sign which I thought was good. Is there a sign behind, falling over? Isn't there, saying that there's cameras?
You're on CCTV, doll.
Yeah, I thought it was going to say no petting or whatever.
Oh, no heavy petting. Yeah.
That was a missed trick, weren't it? But no, and obviously they didn't see it because it wasn't in view. So, which is critical, is crucial, because later on, when there's an unsuspecting guest trying to check in at reception, he spots Justin and Leah in the pool having relations.
That was weird,
Uh,
wasn't it? Why is the CCTV being displayed
Facing the
to the
punters.
whole of
I
reception?
know. Just go with it.
I was like,
So,
what's going on here?
what was the name of the security guard on the phone that Jarvis
Oh,
called? Oh,
can't
it was
remember.
just. I'll have to go back. I need to rewatch this episode
I'm gonna
this
say
weekend.
Bruce. I can't remember.
We've got a code 7.
Code 7 in the pool, doll. Oh,
And
Jesus.
then it's the whole over the tannoy. No nudity in the pool. And
Yeah.
they're all like, oh, we're in trouble. It was just so funny. I've just laughed from start to finish.
It was
Um,
good.
and
Did
then they
enjoy
end up
this.
milking the hotel, don't they, for all they've got the next day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because Leah's done a Leah and she's been like, where was your sign, bitch?
Yeah. It's illegal to
saying-
record people without telling them they're
Yeah.
being recorded. Do you know that?
Yeah.
Jarvis, Harvest, whatever your name is.
Bruce. You know how good they're getting at callbacks. I think, and if anyone's listening, writers, right,
Mm.
way down the line, just as we're about to forget all about this encounter, although it will take a while. This video, this CCTV video, should appear online.
Yes.
I think that would be a superb callback.
That would be hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love that. Oh, and then someone from the Bay needs to see it on like TikTok or something.
Yeah. And it's a very important lesson then as well, about online and what can go around. There's moral in it.
There is, but there's also comedy in it.
And the odd ass cheek, which can't help. You know what I mean? So can't hurt. Sorry.
Yeah.
So anyway, they get out back, and they come back very fresh faced from this honeymoon, don't they? And then what happens next is strange because Leah, I don't
get this.
No, we've been married a few months. We're going to renew the vows because these months have been hell. So I mean, what the next 6 years going to look like? Let alone 6 months.
Yeah.
So we renew our vows in the living room with Maz, who wasn't even at the wedding to begin with, and John, who thought he was initiating it but was just there to eat cake.
Yeah.
Am I right?
I didn't really get this because I didn't get the fact that we've done it in reverse as well. So we've gone on our honeymoon because we never had a honeymoon, and then we've come back from the honeymoon and now we're getting married again. Like, that order is the wrong way around for a start. And also, like, where did this come from? Like, did they just have like a sort of gap in the script where they're like, we've got to fill 10 minutes worth of something, and you two are in and everyone else is off sick, so we're just gonna have a wedding.
Well, how about the conversation that Justin kept banging on about that he wanted?
Yeah. And she was like, oh yeah, don't worry about it. I trust you. I want to show you every day. And he was like, oh no, we need to talk about it. But what was the conversation as well? Like, he didn't start the conversation. So what was the chat supposed to be about?
Don't know. Because he soon forgot about it when she said, let's marry again. Don't get it.
No, I don't get it.
Yeah. I think we're supposed to understand that all is well now. And
yeah, and it was hold us accountable for the vows that we just said. Like, tell us, when I was like, this is a bit OTT, but
yeah,
like you, it's just like, okay, well, I guess it's closing the chapter, or maybe
not sure we needed it though. We didn't need it, did we?
Didn't. I think the weekend away, and then if they had some kind of chat where they both agreed that they're both happy now, and that's it, and it's moving on.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think this was a bit straight because it came after the honeymoon as well. I was like, well, this is all the wrong way around, doll. Like, they need another honeymoon now. They just got married again. Like, what's going on? I'm confused.
Can we go back to the honeymoon, doll? Because that was way more entertaining.
It was, yeah. Can we just get naked code 7 in the pool again? Like, that was much better.
If they were going to do something like that, I think they should have done it at the hotel.
Yeah.
And Jarvis could have been, flower girl. Do you know what I mean?
They could have done that. They could have done that under the nice trees. They could have just stood there together. They didn't even need to have witnesses in this. She could have just said, "Look, I'm gonna say some stuff out loud now, and like, I'm gonna promise I'm never gonna do this, and I'm gonna promise that I will always do this or whatever." They didn't need to go home, have that weird cleanup session, and then Maz turn up with flowers. That was just really odd.
It was.
It was jarring. It was like, what? Where have you gone? She was like, oh, I've got to run out while he's hoovering or whatever. And I was like, what's she got to do that's so urgent? And then she comes back with John and Maz in suits. I'm like, what's going on? It took me right out of it a bit, to be honest.
Yeah, it didn't fit, did it? The rest, you
No.
know. And I just thought it was unnecessary. But I don't have anything else to say other than that, really. That it was just unnecessary.
It's just a bit strange.
Yeah.
It did feel like a gap filler to me. I was like, oh, we're filling a gap.
Filling time up. Yeah, do you know what? You're probably right. That stuff probably happens more than we realise. You know.
Who's on set today? These four. Everyone else has got the flu. Quick, what can we do for the next 10 minutes?
Improv. I know, wedding.
Improv wedding. I'm probably being really unfair. I don't think it probably is that, but I just didn't get it. I'll be honest. It didn't work.
I'm not sure I'd settle for a couples massage with no masseuse, a 5-star resort with no breakfast included, and a vow renewal in my front room. Just saying.
But you've got the comedy story of the Code 7. Does that make it worth it? I don't know, because you can laugh about that for the rest of your life. You know what I mean? So
yeah, true.
I don't know.
Please take the time to like, subscribe, and review Coastal News wherever you source your podcasts, and ensure you never miss an episode.